Yes, my G's. Hope you're all doing wonderful. I've got a sick phase plant patch for you guys today. I'm dropping this one on Patreon as well because it's a bit too good to give away for free. But it's basically inspired by when I was at the gym earlier. I was on the treadmill and I was looking out the window and there's like a road there, and a motorcyclist almost got cut off by this big truck, and it was quite a near miss, and motorcyclist sort of got away and was shaking his head and stuff, and I was like, oh, poor guy. Sometimes you don't see those guys very easily on the road, and I used to ride a bike as well, so I've actually had a couple of crashes on bikes. So if anyone out there is a motorcyclist, big ups to you, and I hope people pay more attention to you on the road. Perhaps if you play this bass out of a portable speaker, maybe really loudly, they might hear you a bit better. But basically, I made a bass using a motorcycle sound. So I found this sample, which I had somewhere on my hard drive. So a bit of a, not quite, a massively beastie bike. I think it was a 250 or something. Anyway, I thought it would be cool to resample that through phase plant. And here is what I ended up with. How dope is that, right? And so basically, yeah, let's try and break this down. So a few I would say difficulty level medium to high, probably more around medium actually. So what I did was I wanted to have two parts to the sound. So the first part is kind of like, it's almost like the motorbike sort of starting up, and then the second part is a part which kind of loops. So in the granular generator, so obviously I've opened up the granular module and I've thrown just dragged and dropped the sample in, and basically it has a point over here where it starts, and that's where I've got the first little part to the sound, and then I've used an LFO over here to then bring it over to this middle point, and then when it gets there it stops, and then it has this sort of repeating kind of pattern, So if I can just play this on its own. So that's what I mean. You have this first part at the bottom here on the LFO, and then as we get to the top, it stays there for a while, and then it repeats, because the amount of grains here will determine the speed of that kind of repetition. So obviously that would be a bit fast, but I sort of programmed it around 4. And I actually changed the speed of this a little bit on the LFO as well. So they start off pretty fast at the beginning, and then as you get to the point where it stops, the grains kind of slow down a little bit. Okay, and there's a lot of modulations and things going on here, and it was a bit of a complicated one. So there's also this chord mode on the granular generator, and the range here is set to 1 octave, but that's actually only on at the beginning of the sound, and then as you get to the top part here, where the LFO gets to the top, the range comes off, so the chord actually turns itself off then, so it's kind of only on at the beginning. Because that first kind of starting up motorcycle sound, it just was better when that was sort of made into a chord. It just sounded a bit cooler, but then it was a bit overkill when I got to the second part, so sort of just adjusting as I go along really there, What I've done also, most importantly, is this whole motorbike sound has been run through the output into the phase of a sine wave. And the sine wave is down at minus 24.07, so it's slightly off key. And also this actual motorbike sample is kind of a little bit off key as well, just to try and make make it a little bit more realistic. Like not sort of pitch perfect, although to be fair, the motorcycle sample is just chaotic pitch anyway, but at least the sine wave, I wanted to take that down a little bit. Okay, so the gain of the motorcycle is actually going to turn off as well. So at the beginning, you have the bit of noise from the original sample, and then that turns itself off on the LFO, and then you're left with just the sine wave with the FM going into it. All right, and we've got a few other things happening. So I wanted to have this effect where the speed will sort of change as you get to a certain part of the note where it's held down. So I created another LFO, which modulates this part here, which is it basically is also changing the sort of grain envelope in a similar kind of way where I slow the grains down. By shortening the grain envelope here, it has the effect that it feels like it's speeding up. So you see here, when this little dot comes up here, then the speed increases as the envelope kind of becomes smaller. Yeah, I've set the phase here so it sort of starts in the middle round here, and then when it goes all the way to the end and then repeats, then it comes up, and then you have that speeding up effect. Okay, so that's basically just giving it a bit more automation as you hold the note down for longer, to make it a little bit more interesting. And there's another one little thing that I've got to mention is the global unison is also actually off at the beginning when the motorbike's kind of starting up, and then as you get to that main bit where it's sort of held down, that's where the blend mode then comes up, and you have the global unison active on everything, so it sort of becomes almost a bit from mono to stereo a little bit, but there is a little bit of stereo in to begin with because I made the chord up here, it's just not on the whole thing like the global unison does. All right, I set a little shift macro to control the rate here. So when the motorbike's starting up, if you shorten that gap, for example, then you'll get a very different kind of effect. So that's kind of a little bit of a variation, for example. You could do it the other way as well. So just the kind of it's almost like a delayed part before the kind of main groove of the bass kicks in, so you can just sort of control the length of that, of how long that initial starting up sound is, before it kicks in. So I've done, I think that's pretty much the whole voicing section. So yeah, I know I'm not super explaining this very well because it was a really chaotic sound that I've sort of just messed around with, but the concept is cool, right? Motorbike into a sine wave, let's go. So anyway, I have continued to process the sound design by firstly adding a nonlinear filter, and I've actually put this on an LFO, and this LFO here is basically going to do quite a fast movement on the drive of this filter, and the drive really is responsible for the whole color of the sound. So when that's on, then you can hear as it goes up, you get this really nice, kind of natural, mid-rangey, Neurofunk classic kind of growl coming in, reminds me of some old school, Mephius Inside Info kind of sounds, but that sort of then becomes a part of the whole soundscape, And obviously you could change yourself the kind of speed in which that's all happening. So that could be a great thing to add on a macro as well, just the speed of that, because that's sort of your sort of counter rhythm that's happening. But it really had a nice tone, so I wanted to have that in there. Although the patch becomes quite complicated because there's a lot of counter kind of movements and things, it's still just sounded great either way. So now I'm just driving the whole thing a little bit with a shaper, and it's just minus 2.7 dB. So it does saturate it all significantly, but in a way that still retains the kind of the low end how it sort of was without degrading it. So that was just searching for a good preset to fit with the sound, and then choosing a nice balance on the drive. Then the rest of the effects, sort of just my classic little enhancement things. So a little bit of convolution reverb, just 15%. Little tight one. A little bit of drive with a fold back this time, but also just mixed in really small amounts. So that's very subtle, that one. Then a 3-band EQ to give a little bit of a low end boost and a high end boost, because I felt like it kind of needed those two areas a little bit, a little bit of push there. Okay, and then finishing it up with another little bit of convolution. This is like a longer one in a big kind of hall, a tiny delay tail, and a slight bit of compression to control the kind of overall volume, because the first part where it starts up was like a bit overly bright and loud compared to the second part. So that's why I put a compressor on. Just sort of balance out the levels a little bit. So yeah, that's the final MTR bass preset then. Grab it on the Patreon just for the €1 squad and higher. But yeah, really enjoyed making that one. And I knew that I had a feeling that when I went to the gym, I would get like inspiration for a video, because I often like make videos first thing in the morning, and because I've made quite a few recently, I was starting to run out of like not necessarily ideas, but like fun ideas that I wanted to make a video about. And so that's where sometimes I'll go out for a walk, or I'll go exercise or something and wait for an idea to strike. And well, luckily I had the inspiration today to make a motorbike baseline, and it turned out awesome. And yes, that is just one more time for the people at the back. It's really filthy, that one. I love it. Anyway, thank you, my G's. Hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry if I didn't completely explain this one super clearly, because like I said, it was one of those sound design chaotic patches where you just put in modulation here, parameter there, no, it kind of just going a bit random. But that's the fun part of Faceplant, when you can kind of start to freestyle a bit and just get some mental stuff going on. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, my G's. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you're new to the channel, obviously make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below. I always read the comments, and I make videos about them sometimes as well. If you've got a good one that inspires me to make a video, then feel free to leave something down below. And yeah, there's also links down to my website where you can get Faceplant preset packs, you can get Vital preset packs. I do one-on-one mentorship as well, which is you can book in on my website to level up your sound in any kind of area, mix down wise, sound design wise, whatever you want to work on, I'm yours. And also I've got mastering services available. You can just email me at info@artifactmusic.com for prices. That's about it. Oh yeah, Patreon as well, if you ever want to support. There's also higher tiers with more stuff like Discord, and a little video series I started called Discord Dynasties, where I'm breaking down my whole track making process from start to finish. Anyway, thank you for watching, my G's. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.